So as we dive in tonight, I first just want to start by giving honor where honor is due as we begin this. And it starts with that relationship where Jordan and I started personally. It starts years ago where he reached out and said, would you come and would you minister to my students? And the relationship was reciprocal at that point because it was so last minute. I was on maybe my 5th week of speaking at church camps over and over and over. And so my wife was a little tired of me being gone, but thankfully he said the magic words. He said, it's in your backyard. So it was like maybe 6 miles from my house. And I said, praise Jesus, I can sleep in my own bed and do camp. It's a beautiful thing. And when I said yes, I wasn't sure what I was saying yes to either. I was saying yes to my mission, which God has set me apart to do to this point, which has been to resource emerging generations to live like Jesus. And he spoke that to me and he gave me that mission. And so when Jordan reached out and said, would you come speak to my students? I needed a reason to say no instead of a reason to say yes. I'm usually looking for God to say, I'm closing this door instead of I'm opening one, because if it's students and it's Jesus and it's movement, I'm in. I'm just in. And so that first year when we started to have these kind of conversations around Jesus with his student ministry, I could see that Jordan was rooted in the gospel and the kingdom of Jesus. And he shared that story with you. And so I want to give you honor as a camp for continuing to water the roots, to till the soil, to continue to deepen the community that is this campground that can birth kingdom movements and can call kingdom people. Because I met one a few years ago. And he was deeply investing in the lives of his students so much that year after year after year, they longed to go away and learn about Jesus with him. And so I bring honor to you tonight first of saying, well done, good and faithful servants, for tilling the soil that is the kingdom of God and for watering the roots that is the tree and not being knocked over or diluted. It has been a joy this week. My daughter and I arrived on Sunday, and as we were coming in, this gathering was finishing up on that Sunday night. I wanted to be here earlier, but I had this lame excuse. I was baptizing a student that morning, so my bad. I'm sorry. He and his dad had some issues right before that happened, so he paid me extra to hold him down longer. So that's why I was late. We were bringing him back up. They had a good week. It worked. And so as I came in and I see the masses exiting, I thought there's something like there must be a concert tonight or something, because that is a significant number of people in a room to talk about Jesus on a Sunday night at camp. I spend most of my summer traveling from camp to camp and communicating with students and different communities. And I will tell you that camps are struggling. The community of coming together in a familial atmosphere in order to talk about Jesus and his kingdom has been hit hard. Some of it is warranted. Some of it are conferences and conventions that are closer to urban environments. That's okay. But a lot of it is a loss of tradition or familial relationship within the context of camp. And because the families aren't together anymore, or the churches have fractured, or the movements have gone their separate ways, the camp and emerging generations are starting to suffer. And so as we came in Sunday night, I first looked around and thought, this is amazing. And then we came back Monday night just to see if that was an anomaly, and it wasn't. There were more people Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and last night. This place is full. I just want to bring honor to you because God's doing that, right? It is to him that we give the glory, but you are faithful stewards on his behalf, ready to learn more, believing that there's more to the story than just coming to camp as a 12-year-old. So many of you could have come at 12 and you could have been finished and not come back and said, I've got it, I get the Jesus thing, I'm going to move on and I'm going to go somewhere else. But you're still here. And there are generations coming behind you. And I've learned so much from you this week. I learned about an older generation that does not understand a Mac this week. I was like, is he really? I need to meet him. I learned about front-loading washers last night. I don't know if you're with me. I learned that I am not going to be the speaker with the least amount of hair on this stage this week. But I will be the shortest. This is why I like a stage. I feel tall for I heard I had like 2.5 hours, a good 2.5 hours a week. I feel tall. I also want to bring honor really quickly to who brought me here to you. I have grandparents who have followed Jesus. I only have one grandmother who is still breathing on this earth. The rest of my grandparents are dancing with Jesus. I have a mama and papa who are trying to figure out how to bale hay in heaven because they can't stop working. I know it because I can feel it in my bones. They just keep reminding me, like, you better get to work, boy. Because they grew up farming for a living and for a life. And they taught me the art of hard work, and they taught me how to drive forward, and they taught me what the kingdom of God could look like when it put its hands to the plow, honorable and respectfully. I carry with me usually it's on my backpack, but I brought it here. I carry this pen with me everywhere because my father's father was in the Air Corps in World War II. And I refuse to forget and not bring honor to those of you that are in this room and those that have passed before us that knew what it meant to stand for freedom in ways that today confuse us and overwhelm us and polarize us at times even as a country. But there was a season and a time where we knew the sacrifice that needed to be made, and we made it. And that's what he taught me. And I give honor to my grandmother who was not a stay-at-home mom. She worked for the telephone company for her entire life. And she reminded me from the time that I could go to her house at 6 years old and talk her into giving me a cup of coffee. Oh, that sweet, good coffee. I like it. And I was 6. That she would remind me of the value of a strong woman in the life of culture and society. I honor them as I stand here, but I also bring honor to my parents who raised me in a community within the context of the kingdom of God, and they gave me the freedom to pursue Jesus in the way in which I was going to need to, even though they were going to have to make sacrifices. When I was in 2nd grade, I came home from youth group with a flyer that said, "Hey, Mom, look, there's a preaching competition at this local church. I think I want to enter it." And she said, "It says it's for high schoolers." I don't care. And so she called the youth minister and said, "Hey, my son wants to preach in this competition. Will you let him write a sermon?" And he said, "Sure, he can enter into it. It's high schoolers, though. He's going to get destroyed." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm getting destroyed preaching." Like, there's something not okay about that. And so we sat down, and I can remember her sitting me at the dining room table and getting this piece of paper out, and she's like, "We're going to longhand this because that's how you write, son. Let me write this in English, and we're going to start talking about grammar and syntax and things." And I was like, "Mom, just give me some note cards because I'll remember it." And she looked at me, and she was like, "You are going to fail miserably. What do you want to preach on?" I was like, "I thought we'd go Genesis to Revelation." She said, "This says 10 minutes. I was like, "I know. I can get there." We got there. Genesis to Revelation in 10 minutes. That's the best sermon ever. I won the competition. Yeah. But here's the bad part. I still need to pay respect. I'm sorry for whatever high school guys I beat because they really probably questioned their calling at that point. Like, they just walked out of the room like, "We just got beat by a 2nd grader." Like, maybe I should go be a teacher. And I don't know. I'm not questioning teaching there. Sorry, that sounded like that. I want to give honor to all the teachers in the room. Without you, I would not be able to read because I'm from Kentucky. I also want to give respect to every shoe salesman here. Same reason. I went to college in Ohio. My feet got really warm then. Came across the river and they told me two things. You have to root for Ohio State football and put some shoes on. I'm sorry. My dad is from Ohio. My mom is from Kentucky.